What's going on, everybody? It is a two-man show this time on Marvel Rewind. I am Gio, and I am here with Mr. Jacob Bartley. Jacob, you ready to talk some WandaVision?
I am, and it's a two-man show for now. Jake and Brian
Well,
are a little busy at the moment, but they should be joining us here shortly. But it's all good. We're here to talk WandaVision episode 6, right?
6, yes. Yeah, episode 6, crazy episode. You guys leave us your thoughts in the comments. If you got a cool theory that you want to share with us, please do see to the streamlabs.com/Apocaflix movies. We'd really appreciate it. So normally what we do is we go through the entire episode in order. I think we'll do that this time around too. But start it off, Jacob, what are your general thoughts about this episode of WandaVision? You know, the momentum seems to be picking up, and what do you think, sir?
Yeah, man, I have really liked the show so far. I enjoyed the first two sitcom only episodes. They were fun because I knew it was leading towards something else, and then they really picked it up. The episodes, 3, 4, and 5, kind of diving to the outside of the hex, and I loved the last two episodes so much. Now this episode though is a little bit different for me. I think I'm not I'm not a big a fan of this episode as I was the last two. That's the best I can compare, because the last 3 episodes, including this one, have all been outside the hex and inside the hex, and kind of we've been in that area so far. So as far as the episodes that have been outside the hex and inside the hex, this might be my least favorite one, but I still enjoyed it, and it still kept the momentum going. So, and I'll explain my reasoning why behind once we get more into it.
Okay, understandable. For me, I like this episode. I don't think it's the best one, but again, we get a lot more of it's literally the damn thing. The dome is expanding,
Literally, yeah.
And it's cool to see the kids and to see sort of a different side of Wanda. She's had a rough life, but it seems like these kids are kind of making things a little bit better for her. It's funny. Vision is not afraid to just do his own thing inside that bubble. He's like, okay, see you later. I'm gonna go and do my own thing. And Wanda's like, you didn't tell me you had any plans. And it's like, yeah, you think just because your brother shows up, everything's just gonna all of a sudden snap back to normal? No, not at all. But yeah, I did enjoy this episode. I love that they used Halloween to take advantage of giving us the comic book accurate costumes, which we'll get into.
A good reason to do it, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, look, in WandaVision fashion, we get more questions. I have more questions about Agnes.
So that's probably my main problem with this episode, and I see Chuck agrees with me that maybe it's his least favorite. I think this is the episode that answered the least questions while giving us more questions. It didn't really answer anything this episode, if you think about it. Like, what major revelations did we find out? Maybe that we learned a little bit more about Vision, and that he is maybe that destroyed body parts of him turned into a live version, but only inside the hex. We learned that, but we didn't learn who Evan Peters is. We didn't learn who Agnes is. We didn't learn anything. So maybe I don't know if that means good or bad, but for me, it asked way more questions than it answered, when normally it's a good mix.
Yeah, this might be the episode that really leaves us on a cliffhanger compared to the other ones. I know the previous one had Pietro. We had questions about that, but this one really does. So let's get into it. Let's start off. I didn't know this at first because it wasn't really a show that I watched in the 90s, but the intro style is very Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes.
And, did you catch that?
Absolutely. So I used to watch Malcolm in the Middle all the time as a kid, and that's how I knew of Bryan Cranston. He was the dad on Malcolm in the Middle. Oh, okay. And that's how I always saw him as. So it was crazy when he started doing Breaking Bad and breaking out to all these dramatic roles and stuff. So first of all, I want to talk about the recap. Kind of, they showed Pietro getting killed in Age of Ultron, even though they showed the bullet, the one time where the bullet like hit his arm, and that was the officers,
Yeah.
and then it showed him dead on the floor. But that was interesting to me that they showed that. But I think they wanted to show people that, oh, it was a different actor, now it's a new actor. You know, maybe people who haven't seen Age of Ultron. But the intro and the song, I loved it because this is now 90s, supposed to be like late 90s, right? Or
Yeah,
around that era.
mid to late 90s.
Yeah, so I mean, it depends though. Like, is this 2000s? It kind of feels early 2000s, late 90s. Because I mean, I guess it depends. If you look at the movie theater background where it shows The Incredibles and Parent Trap, was that like just special screenings, or was that when the movies were released? Because I don't think those movies were released in the same year.
It has to be special screening. I mean, one's a Disney movie, like live action. The other one is a Pixar movie, and it's Marvel. So
yeah. So, anyways, I loved the intro because I recognized Malcolm in the Middle right away. It also felt like a lot of Disney Channel shows too, in a way. Some of the 90s, early 2000s ones. So. And I'll say this is probably my favorite sitcom episode, but my least favorite MCU episode. You know what I mean? Like,
as far as like moving the story forward.
Yeah, but it was the most fun I had as far as them paying homage to a sitcom, I think.
Okay, yeah. For me, it was just, and I totally missed that Quicksilver thing that you mentioned of showing him get shot. So in that similar fashion, it proceeds with I believe it's Wiccan breaking the fourth wall and talking to the audience. I think they did that in Malcolm. Sorry,
yeah.
Malcolm
So
Middle,
that was Malcolm in the Middle. He did that, but a lot of other shows during this era did that too. But yeah, definitely Malcolm in the Middle. What's his name? Frankie Muniz.
Frankie
would
Muniz
do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it shows them getting ready for Halloween, and we see Quicksilver just sleeping on the couch like a bum. And I don't know about you, I didn't like the effects of him moving quickly. Like, I got so used to Age of Ultron and I guess how his powers were shown in Fox that it kind of felt cheap. Did you feel the same way?
Well, if you think about it, though, everything that happens inside the hex fits the time era. I think they purposely made it look cheesy because Pietro interacting with the nephews and all that stuff, that's part of the show that's being projected out to the outside, right? Mm-hmm. So they're seeing him use his speed, and I think they made it look cheesy on purpose to fit the setting. Because we don't see when Wanda uses, those times when Wanda really uses her powers, like when she throws Monica out of the bubble, things like that. We don't see that in the show. Mm-hmm. But, us as viewers see it, but the people watching the show don't see it. So I think that was kind of that. Like, this is how it would look if we had a character who had super speed in the 90s. That's my interpretation of it.
Sure. So, yeah, it shows Pietro and the kids interacting, him being very uncle-like. I think somebody referenced Uncle Jesse or something in a previous episode. So they're having fun. And then we get Wanda coming down the stairs in classic Wanda outfit, costume. She says, "I am a Sokovian psychic," right?
Fortune teller. Yeah. Dude, that was brilliant because first of all, we all, sometimes we want to see the characters in their classic uniforms or costumes, but they don't fit like modern day, right? So this was a fun way to have them wear their similar look to the Vision and Scarlet Witch comic. And this was perfect Halloween episode. But then on top of that, because I was wondering the same exact thing when I saw the trailers, why are they even dressed like that on Halloween? Like, where did they come up with these ideas? And they addressed that. She's a Sokovian fortune teller, which is perfect. And because we don't know what that looks like. And so and then Vision is a Mexican wrestler.
A Mexican wrestler. Yeah. I forget what Pietro calls him, but He's like, yeah, that, or throw up or something, or a booger. I think he says
Oh, he starts calling him a bunch of different names. Yeah. Oh, a stoplight.
a stoplight. Yeah, a
That
stoplight.
was
Yeah.
funny.
So
Yeah.
he has some pretty funny lines. And then, like I said, clearly Wanda was expecting them to do something, but Vision his mind is set on figuring out what the hell is going on, and uses the security neighborhood watch as an excuse. So he leaves, and then Pietro steps in and says, "Hey, I'll go with you guys." And then we get a comic accurate Quicksilver outfit with the hair and everything,
Mhm.
and even Speed is dressed the same. How'd you feel about those outfits?
Well, I look, you can't do things like this in just an Avengers movie or something like that. So that they're able to do this and they had him with his speed was really cool. And that he took that uh that he took that nephew with him. Look, man, I think this is all about the twins, the boys. This whole show is
Definitely this episode.
about, and this episode too is about the boys. I'm diving more and more into that every single episode. That this whole thing is manipulated for Wanda to give birth to these twins and for them to escalate their development as far as just growing into human adults and their powers. Because I think Pietro was here to kind of bring their powers out of them a little
Mhm.
bit, because he doesn't have his powers at first until they're outside later on. But anyways, I thought that was cool because we already have Scarlet Witch and Vision in their comic accurate costumes for Halloween. Why not put them in theirs as well? And I believe, I didn't know this, but I guess we got to get their real names, Billy and Tommy. I don't know which one is which, but Wiccan, apparently his costume is kind of comic accurate as well, even though it's kind of homemade. I guess that was kind of his costume, and it's funny that Speed wasn't wearing one at first.
Right. Just a side note before we continue. This show got me overthinking things, little things. Like in the intro, when the kids are being hugged by Agnes, I was like, "Oh, okay, definitely onto something." And then later on, Quicksilver's so quick to volunteer with these kids. It's just like I'm just
Well,
overthinking all of this, you
yeah, I
know?
mean, I don't think you're overthinking, because think about this. And I don't want to go off on a tangent. I want to focus on this episode, and it ties into this episode from the very beginning. Agnes shows up. You don't have children? Oh, why don't it's just you two in here? And then they have that little town meeting for the children. And then the children are born. Agnes shows up. She's spraying this spray, right? And she's around the kids. And she's like, "You want me to hold the kids or tend to the kids?" And Vision's like, "No." And then she's like, but I'm supposed to tend to the kids. That's in the plan. That's why she was like, "Wanda, do you want me to go from the top again?"
Mhm.
And then she sprays this spray. And then a few seconds later, she's looking for the dark liquor and the kids are grown up. And then a dog comes into play. They age themselves up to take care of the dog, where Agnes is present. Then when the dog dies, when they were going to age themselves up again, Agnes was involved and present. And now you have this uncle show up who's hanging out with the twins the whole time. I think they're all trying to escalate them into growing up. And I do think whatever the mystical, magical side, whoever's behind Wanda somehow wants those kids and fully powered. That's my opinion. So when you see her in the intro with the kids over her and they're in the intro together, I think that's not by accident.
Yeah, not a coincidence for sure. And man, there's a number of coincidences in every episode for sure. So let's continue. It goes into the outside world, and clearly the director, the guy in charge, is upset. You know, he just got showed up by Wanda in the previous episode, and he proceeds to call out Monica about, he gets really personal, talks about her mother. Like,
Yeah, he went a little too far this time.
hell yeah.
A little too far this time.
Never have I rooted for somebody to like eat it or bite the dust or anything. So he proceeds to ship all of them out of the site. Darcy,
Wu and Monica.
Monica.
And then we get an action scene with Jimmy Woo.
Yeah, how funny was it? Darcy's like, what's the plan? But yes,
Yeah. I mean, they didn't plan that, so that's why.
He can not only do magic, but he can kick ass, right?
Yeah, I liked seeing him do that. That was cool.
Mm-hmm. All right, so sorry guys. Look, I got a dry cough. I'm trying. Okay, I really want to cough. Try not to. All right, so okay, so from there it goes back to the hex, and everyone's trick or treating and having fun, and Wanda's wondering like, she's talking to Herb, and she finds out that Vision is not really a part of the neighborhood watch.
Yeah, so there's, I forget what order it happens in, but there's that whole scene. We see the kids and them walking into the town, and then they start running around, and then Speed starts using his powers. And then she's like, if you're going to break the sound barrier, make sure to take your brother with you. Mm-hmm. And I love that. And then they go off and do their thing. And then we have Wanda and Pietro walking and talking. But I think the Herb interaction might have been before that.
It's around that time.
Yeah, but she finds out Vision isn't really with the neighborhood watch. And then probably the most important thing, one of the most important things this episode is the conversations between Evan Peters and Scarlet Witch, because we don't know who Evan Peters is. I mean, this brought more mystery to it. I mean, this is probably the biggest question going into this episode, right? So I'll tell you my interpretation. Sure. After this episode, I don't think he's Quicksilver. I think because he was definitely fishing for answers, right? I mean,
oh yeah, no. That whole conversation about, or them sitting on the hay. I know we're jumping forward, but he's like, how'd you do it? How'd you do this, that? Like you gave everyone like simple lifestyles and simple clothing and this and that. And he's clearly digging for answers.
Yeah, and he's like, how'd you do it?
Yeah. And to jump back to where we were, Wanda starts to test him, right? Asking about, do you remember that time with mom and dad, this and that? And he's like, you're testing me. He's calling it out.
And where's your accent? Where's your accent? And then he's like, where's your accent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a neat.
And what they do say about, he's like, I know I look different. And then she's like, why do you look different? And then he's like, he says something, implying like trying to trick her into thinking that she did it on purpose, like made him look different because she didn't want to be reminded of the past.
Yeah.
Yes, mm-hmm. It was. So it's weird because Wanda seems kind of clueless to a certain extent, right? Like she doesn't really know what's going on either. And that's why I said last time, and I think somebody commented it. Oh, Rachel did right here, that it's clear that Wanda having control is an illusion. And I said, like, it's like somebody gave her own sandbox to play in and she could do whatever she wants in this sandbox, but she's not really in control,
Well, yeah, and that's evident in the next scene where Vision is walking around, and the further he walks out of town, the more creepy the town gets, and again, like great job with the whole Halloween, vibe type episode. But
so what's up with these people stuck in motion? The lady trying to hang something up and the guy like setting something down. Is it the closer they get to the wall, to Ellis Street, the more they're just like zombies instead of like participating in the show?
Well, yeah, it's her having less control, because she can only control so much. I mean, if that wasn't the case, she would have known where Vision was, right then and there, but she didn't. Again, I'm jumping forward. But yeah, you see the lady doing laundry, and what else happens? Just he sees people standing still.
Well, he sees another lady and he tries to talk to her, mm-hmm. and she doesn't respond at all. And then he starts walking out towards Ellis Street, mm-hmm. and when he sees Agnes's car, and that's a big moment too, well.
Wait, we got to back up. We got to talk about what was by far the most creepiest commercial in this show.
Oh my goodness! Yes. Yeah. Well, I honestly, like, I'm still trying to figure that commercial out. Okay, but it's the one with the shark and the Yo Magic. How do
Yes.
you interpret it?
Okay, so first off, I'm a '90s baby. You're a '90s baby, right? So many people in the chat are '90s babies as well. The whole style, the cartoon style, and the animation, total '90s.
Oh, absolutely.
I
It
saw the
felt
shark.
natural.
Yeah, I saw the shark, and I was like, "Street sharks? Is that street sharks?" Like only '90s babies will get that. But anyways, yeah, comes out the water, presents what's it called? Yogurt?
Yo Magic.
Yo Magic, sorry, Yo Magic, but it's yogurt, right? It's in the form of yogurt. Yo Magic to the kid. Kid is right off the top creepy. He's just like, "Can I have some?" Shark doesn't even say anything. He just gives it to him, and then it goes really dark. The kid tries to open it, tries it, and ends up dying. Turns it into a skeleton, and it's just, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still like, ugh, about it, you know. But the way I took it is, it represents the people who are toward the outside of the town, and how no matter how much they try, they can't get help. They can't do anything. You know, they're helpless.
Yeah.
Either, and then another thing is, so all these commercials kind of reference the Infinity Stones. Was this one clearly time?
Well, maybe the watch was time, though. The time stone,
You think
possibly.
so?
Well, what would the watch be then?
No. Hmm.
But who
You
knows?
might
This
be
could
right.
be.
I mean, I took it as time.
I
Could
mean,
it be?
yeah. I mean, it could be. Well, it could be the Mind Stone. She got her power magic from the Mind Stone, unless we already. Or the Mind Stone's in. Oh no, is in the staff. So I don't think
Guys,
we've
help us
had
out in
Mind
the
Stone
chat.
yet.
What commercial is this
I
one?
mean, what's very funny is like everybody's speculating that the commercials represent the Infinity Stones, but they could not too. It's very possible that they don't. But I mean, they are. If you count each one so far, it kind of fits. You know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So Chuck is saying that someone is using her powers. They're taking her magic, Yo Magic. Yeah. I mean, that would make sense. Like, obviously, to accomplish this takes a great amount of power, right? Because even whoever Evan Peters is, they're like, let's say Evan Peters is somehow connected to Mephisto or whoever the higher power is that we think is behind this. Why would they be asking, how did you do it? Are they not in the know? Like, are they not even a part of it? They're just like Sword investigating it themselves from another area, you know, like just from somewhere else, you know.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
maybe they sent in their own agent. And here's the thing to me, and I think it ties in. Why at the end of and if somebody in the chat knows the answer to this, please help me with this. But how come at the end of last episode, when Evan Peters shows up at the door, Darcy goes back to grab something, she's looking at the screen, and the alarm is going off at the sword. You know that alarm that came off when Wanda was approaching the hex?
the barrier? Yeah.
Yes. That alarm went off when Evan Peters showed up on screen. Why? They never addressed that unless I didn't see it. But my only guess is he shows up right away. And what if he entered the barrier and anything going in and out, that alarm goes off? And what if it is a version of Quicksilver and he ran in? And
well, yeah. Think about what Pietro said right outside the movies. He said, you know, I'm shot on the ground. Next thing I know, I hear you. And it was simple. Like, you needed me. I did a terrible job of, you know, repeating what he said, but it was along those lines. That led me to believe.
He said, last thing I remember, I was shot dead in the street like a chump or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, why you gotta?
Yeah,
that was harsh.
Reference. Yeah.
So Sean says, I think the alarm was still going off from when Wanda came out. Time moves differently in the real world. I think that's true, that time moves differently, because we see outside they're in a different part of time, and then when we see the show, but the alarm is always outside of the hex, though. So it would always be out in the real world. I mean, I can't think of anything else other than, because at first I thought they recognized this man who's being disguised as Pietro. maybe it was the guy who went into the hex with the beekeeper suit, because where did he go? I thought she repurposed him into being Pietro, but maybe that's not the case. But they never address in this episode, because Wu sees him on screen. He says, "Who's that?" Or, oh no, Monica says, "Who's that?" And they're like, "Oh, her brother showed up." And they don't say that it's somebody that they recognize. And they don't put a little poster up on the board, saying who he is. I know they didn't really have time for that, but it just makes me think. Right now, my theory is maybe it is a version of Quicksilver, and he ran into the hex, and it set off the alarm, and that's how he's already at the door that fast, because he has his speed. That's my guess.
Yeah, there's so much mystery behind this character. Like, I still don't know. Do you know if did they try to talk to Aaron Taylor Johnson for him to come back?
So at first I thought no, because I was wondering, because they hadn't shown him. Even when they show that flash or that footage of her protesting in Sokovia, they don't show his face. And I was like, did they not get because I believe how it works in entertainment, if you show someone's face at all, you have to pay them royalties or something.
Something like that.
And I was thinking, oh, maybe they just either he said no, or they don't want to bring him back or something. But I don't know if that applies to showing old footage though. But I'm not sure. I think it would be cool if he would have shown up himself, and maybe he still will. Maybe he does come back somehow, and he's like, this isn't the real Pietro. But I don't know. I don't want Evan Peters' appearance to just be a gimmick. Oh, haha, we tricked you. This wasn't really Quicksilver. I think him as that character deserves better than that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's continue moving on. So the kids have their powers at this point, right? I mean, Speed is just running around everywhere, and they go off, and Wanda's like, "Don't go past Ellis Avenue," and then they continue, talking, and that's when Pietro mentions. What do I say it like that? But he mentions, I heard you calling me. And so that's why I'm here. I knew that you needed me. And from there, it jumps back to the outside. And this is where things get really juicy, in my opinion. So Darcy, Wu, and Monica manage to sneak in. They start hacking and trying to, figure out exactly what's going on. It turns out the head guy, I don't remember his name, but he's
Hayward.
Who? Hayward?
Yeah, I think it's Tyler Hayward.
He's hiding his own secrets. He has more information than he leads, other people to believe. So he has a tracker on Vision, and that makes me think, when they were, experimenting with Vision's body, did they put a tracker in there at some point? Just in case?
Or they're able to just track vibranium inside the hex, I think. Because there's probably nothing else vibranium in there. I think they even say that they're tracking the vibranium.
Yeah. So that's going on. And then Monica is like, no, I'm sorry, not Monica. Darcy is like, he has your blood work, and your molecules are changing, by the hour. And it further hints that she's going to be, a superhero. What's the name of the comics?
Photon. But she has different aliases as well. But they say she went through twice, because she went through twice. It's just messing up, and that makes me think: is everybody inside there? Is that happening to them too? Because at some point they all entered the hex. When she created it.
Is this the birth of the mutants? Who knows?
I don't know, man. That's getting crazy. But we do have Brian and Jake here.
Let's bring them in here.
They are here. What's going on, guys?
Hello.
Hola. Happy Friday.
So good, you guys, to join us. So we are currently talking about Darcy breaking into Hayward's computer and finding out he has Monica's blood work. There's a tracker on Vision. Wire
and the Monica stuff. But do you guys want to give your just quick thoughts on the episode before we move forward from there?
My favorite episode.
It was great.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
This to me,
Really, your favorite?
my favorite so far. I put this out on Twitter. This episode is the perfect blend of everything that they were attempting to go for with the show as far as the sitcom / MCU. It is also a perfect example as to how the MCU can feel cinematic on television. It felt very cinematic compared to the last couple episodes. It felt very MCU heavy as far as like a film standpoint. And I've said this all day long, but I become more and more obsessed with Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda. Every time I see her, I could become more obsessed with her. So.
Yeah, I mean, I liked episode 2, but I was saying that it's actually one of my, because I like all the episodes, but this is like not one of my favorites because to me it barely answered any questions to me. Like
really,
every episode answered questions after episode 2.
That's fair.
And this one asked way more questions than it answered, but that's not a bad thing necessarily. That's just me being greedy and wanting more answers right away. Yeah, Brian, what about you, man? You like it?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I actually tend to lean towards what you just said, Jacob, about this was probably the least answerable of episodes of things going on. I kind of set up a little bit more. But at the same time, it was really good. It's funny because it gave me very much, and I'm sure that was the goal, like your 90s Disney movie, like made for Disney movies, like Halloween Town.
Or the 90s shows.
The episode should have been called Halloween Town.
It would have been funny.
But I did love the sitcom homage in this episode. It was brilliant. That and the intro song and all that stuff. The sitcom homage was my favorite one so far.
Did you guys talk about the intro song?
Yeah, we did. And I mean,
well, not the song, but
did you hear the lyrics?
The word.
Well, I had the captions on, but I didn't catch everything. I mean, I know it says "Let's keep it going," and it says a bunch of different stuff.
Brian has the words written down if you want to talk about them, Brian.
Yeah, please.
Sure.
Okay. So this is the whole lyric, and I'm not going to sing it.
Sing it.
What?
It says, "Don't try to fight the chaos. Don't question what you've done. The game can try to play us. Don't let it stop the fun. Some days it's all confusion. Easy can't come and go. Easy come and easy go. But if it's all an illusion, sit back and enjoy the show. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Through each distorted day. Let's keep it going. Though there may be no way of knowing who's coming by to play."
Wow.
God, what a tease.
Right?
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. But did you guys get Malcolm in the Middle vibes right away?
Oh, that's 100%.
Did you guys watch Malcolm in the Middle at all?
I did, yeah.
So the intro is essentially the same exact font and style.
Yeah, with
Malcolm
the
in
mom
Middle
has even the hair rolls in their hair, right?
It's almost verbatim for what that was, and obviously the way that the show opens up as well with Billy
The
doing the
narration.
fourth wall is very Frankie Muniz doing the fourth wall. Uncle P is the older brother in this situation from Malcolm in the Middle. It is, almost exactly what they were going for. And it's a lot of people have been talking about how they missed the 90s. Last week was very 80s, 90s. This, they skipped a number of years and went straight to the early 2000s. Next will probably be 2010s. And then the last two will probably be modern times.
I think they're kind of combining them, like you said, Jake. Like last week was 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
This is late 90s, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gio, I think it'll be Modern Family, and I think you'll get The Office a little bit too.
Nice.
Yeah. Though I've seen a lot of people on Twitter talking about The Office, how
it'll be like mockumentary style.
Exactly.
That's going to be interesting. Like, who are the cameramen going to be?
I mean,
because in those shows they talk to the cameramen, and some of them actually become characters. So that
it might be some sword agents.
That's why yeah. So is there anything you guys wanted to talk to prior to them investigating Hayward's computer?
Hayward's a scroll. I'm dying on that hill.
See, I had said this just a little while ago.
He's an ass. That's
yes, he's the biggest dick alive. But I don't think he's a Skrull. I think he's the outside the hex pawn for whoever is controlling everything. The big bad. I think Agnes is the inside one. I think Hayward is the outside one, and whoever's up top controlling essentially has them on puppet strings. And Hayward, whoever's controlling it could be a Skrull. Like, he could very well be a Skrull. But I do think that he's essentially just a pawn, like a lead pawn for whoever's in charge, like the big, whether it's Mephisto or Nightmare. Nightmare seems to be popping up a lot more. I mean, they said the word Nightmare twice in this episode. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he is the villain, but I do think Hayward is just a pawn, and he is working for whoever is controlling everything, because a lot of the stuff he's doing isn't lining up. It really isn't.
I still think he's just an asshole sword agent who has his own agenda.
Sword director.
Yeah, he's the director, which is why I say a lot of things that he's doing isn't like Jimmy Woo said, who's an FBI agent. He said he's stepping way out of his control
jurisdiction.
And yeah, it's there's a lot of things that just aren't lining up with what he's doing. But we can just jump in wherever you guys were. That way we won't lose any time.
Okay, so moving on. Hayward, laptop, blood work, Monica, tease. And then Monica says, my friend will be here in an hour. And I'm like,
what a perfect time for this, Brian.
Ooh. And you forgetting what his specialty is. Aerospace?
Aerospace engineering.
Yeah, Aerosmith, whatever,
Aerosmith. Yes, Aerosmith.
Yeah. So they go off. Darcy stays because there's something else. There's something else that Hayward is hiding, and she wants to crack it. So they go off, and I think we go back into the Hex. Vision's walking. No, this is when he encounters Agnes, right?
I think
it's all
around the same time. It's around the same time.
It's him walking down the street, and then
we haven't really talked about the Agnes Vision scene yet.
Yeah, let's talk about the Agnes thing. So
first off, before you get to that, do you have your prediction of who the aerospace engineer is? Because I think he's coming next episode.
He has to. They've teased him twice already.
Yeah, I mean,
if or she, but I think it's a he.
Well, she said he.
I know, but apparently in the Spanish translation, it translated to she, whatever it was.
On this episode or last episode, though?
This one.
I wouldn't be against that. I mean,
but she said he though, and it's written in English.
So, and what Brian is alluding to is because a lot of people, ever since they saw that, have been saying that, and we talked about this last week, where we made the thought that it could be Reed Richards, it could be Sue Storm instead.
Possibly. I mean,
if it is in fact a she,
they are definitely like building up to this. It's not just a little thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, is this the Luke Skywalker cameo level?
Yes,
it could be.
It's gonna be, dude. I'm telling you, and Brian just made a good point about it a little while ago. And a lot of people have to keep in mind, it's not going to be a cameo for an actor. It's going to be a character cameo. Whoever is playing the character, it's going to be the character that people freak out about.
Yeah, because it could be anybody as Reed Richards, and Reed Richards showing up would be huge.
Like making the example real quick of Luke Skywalker showing up. Like, we freaked out when Luke showed up, but we also freaked out when it was Mark Hamill as the character.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is going to be the character, the Marvel character that people are going to recognize, whether we've seen the person in the MCU already or if it's recognizable enough from the comics by like mentioning a name or something. Like maybe the person walks up, we're like, okay, who is that? And then they go, and Monica says, hey, so-and-so. And it's like Reed Richards or Victor Von Doom or someone.
Like, hey, Reed.
Is Ben Grimm a scientist as well?
All of them except,
Well, he's a version of a scientist, but he's not.
Yeah,
not what they are.
He's not like genius level of Reed is, and Johnny Storm is definitely not. So, if it was going to be a Fantastic Four, it would be either Sue or Reed.
Yeah, it has to be one of those two.
Or
Maybe-
Victor. Or
maybe-
Victor Von Doom.
Victor would be the dark horse for
That
sure.
would be pretty cool. I mean, if it's Doom, that would
Right?
be insane.
Can you imagine? He just goes, "Hey, Victor, this is my friend
Yeah.
Victor Von Doom." Like what?
It almost doesn't matter who the actor is at that point.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I
I mean,
wanna
I
bring
don't
this up.
know, to be honest.
I do want to bring this up because Brian and I we were just introduced to this on where we were just at. They made a good point. What if it's not Reed Richards or Sue Storm or someone like that, but it's their Sue Storm's dad, and that's the
It's like an
segue into
introduction.
Fantastic Four.
Well, hey, that works too. I mean, because to me, I kind of like that because I don't know if I want their first appearance in the MCU, but to be here. But I guess that could work. That could segue into it.
Who's Sue Storm's dad?
It's
Because remember in the Fantastic Four movie?
Franklin Storm.
Yeah.
Storm. Sorry,
I
Franklin.
always think of as Reggie Cathy. Rest in peace.
Yeah, Franklin Storm. He was only portrayed in the 2015 Fantastic Four. He wasn't in the originals, but he does play a big part in comic history. So it could be something that's. I mean, it's funny because we're focusing on the Fantastic Four. We can be way off basis on this. It could be,
We totally could.
It could be someone completely.
Because you know how many characters there are who are like intelligent scientists in the comics. Like it could be anybody, but
Adam Warlock.
I'm
It could
not
be-
set on one
Okay,
person.
that's a stretch.
Brian, are you set on one person?
No. I would say I tend to lean more to someone coming out of the Fantastic Four realm.
I would agree with that.
Just because it'd be like a perfect little like excitement for Fantastic Four. Because like I've said on many of podcasts, Fantastic Four has to be a success for them. So why not get the hype and excitement going now? Like, I mean, it wasn't until recently that they just announced Fantastic Four is going to have a movie coming out soon. Here's the director.
If one of them appear here, I think we'll see them again before the Fantastic Four movie as well.
Maybe.
Yeah, you'll probably see them in
Maybe.
Doctor Strange too.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think Victor Von Doom would be pretty cool.
Could you
I
imagine
almost
Reed
think
Richards?
that would be the coolest.
Could you
one.
imagine Reed Richards and Stephen Strange on screen together?
Can't wait, man. Can't wait.
God damn.
And it being Benedict Cumberbatch and John Krasinski.
The
Yeah.
MCU would be set for another 10 years on film.
Get out of here!
Yeah. So whoever it is, I'm very excited. Unless it's an absolute freaking troll where it's like, hey, it's Bill from State Farm. It's like, what? Like what?
Just a
some-
random,
someone
like a random
stupid.
sword agent. Like,
Yeah. You're just like, what? So yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, let's continue on. Agnes, she is letting us to believe that she's just a victim. She's just, one of the many people who are imprisoned in here. Do you guys believe her?
No.
No.
yeah, I don't
She's
see
a
how
red-
she could be.
Yeah,
She's a red herring.
Wait. So
100%.
well, let me get this. So Brian, you think that she's a victim?
No.
So you think that she's Agatha Harkness?
Yes. I
Okay,
think she
I
is.
want to clear it up. That's why. I just want to clear it up.
I think she is, and I think what she did in this episode is a red herring, where it's making you think like, oh, she's not involved in it,
Got it.
and then you're like, oh, so she definitely isn't a part of it, and then you're like, 2 episodes later, oh, son of a bitch, she was, like that type.
I
thing.
don't think that she's the bad guy in control, though.
No, I don't.
I
either.
think she's a pawn of whoever that is.
I agree with you 100%, Jacob.
And she's kind of doing this against her will, maybe not like. I don't know what her motivation is, but
she has her hands tied,
Yeah.
and is being forced to do
exactly for some reason. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
something. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Vision learns that he is in fact dead, right? Because I mean,
Or
hey,
is he?
Poor Vision. How many times is that guy gonna have to die?
And he doesn't even remember anything either.
No.
yeah, he doesn't remember anything, but I guess I kind of jumped forward because you combine what Agnes said about him being dead, even if she might be playing it off, that's hella good acting, by the way. But then later on, he can't exit the damn barrier, the field,
The hex.
the hex. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay.
Was
Oh,
it
no, I was just
sucking
saying.
him back in, or what was it doing?
So, I mean, we won't know for a while, but I tend to think that
He can't leave.
I don't know if Wanda ever actually got Vision's body. The footage was never clear of what we were shown a couple episodes ago of when she broke into the lab to get Vision. We never saw her leaving with Vision's body. Not once. I'm
They kind
starting
of cut
to,
the footage off before
I'm
they showed
starting
that.
to believe that she didn't get the body. And what we're seeing of Vision isn't real, and he can't survive outside the hex. Hence why he was being pulled in, and where someone like Monica could just walk freely out.
I think
Or the
exit
beekeeper,
heats.
for example, could walk freely in or whatever. I'm starting to think that because he was literally being destroyed, he was dying, and
I think he's just the dead body that's being like puppeted.
but I don't even think he's an
Essentially.
actual body. I think he's being manifested by her, and I think that someone else still has Vision's body.
Well, I actually think that whenever his body, because in that footage, his body's in pieces, like
Yeah.
it's all over. So I think, I don't know how the hex works. Like, did you just create it out of your hands and then it starts spreading, right? So whenever it hit Vision, those body pieces mixtured up into this version of him that's inside the hex. That's what I think. And then when he was going out, it was all falling apart again. That's what I think. But I mean, we don't know. Who knows?
Literally, who knows?
Yeah. So while we're seeing Vision struggle to leave, it goes back to Wiccan, who can hear Vision, but can't really see where he's at. They run to Mommy. Mommy stands up. All of a sudden, it gets really serious, right? Pietro says the dumbest thing since Geraldine, Monica mentioned Ultron. Your husband, it's not like your husband can die twice.
Wabash.
In fact, he did die twice. First time when
Well, he did, yeah.
and
That
said reverse.
that's why she got pissed.
Yeah. So she just, I mean, God, if you thought she went all out on her powers the previous episodes, this one, red eyes, literally everything stops.
Iconic. That moment,
Yep.
these closing moments were, and this is what I'm talking about being a cinematic. I was losing my what.
That's a
I was
good
so excited
point.
to see her fully embrace what we know of Scarlet Witch. And I didn't put it out on Twitter, but I thought about this. This was the Scarlet Witch origin story. This was the character of Scarlet Witch. This was her origin story inside the MCU, fully embracing the magical powers that she is able to create, and we have still yet to see how powerful she really is. Yeah, great call, iconic. Yes, it's amazing. I can't wait to see what happens next because she's only growing in power. And it's going to be an all-out war to try to stop her.
Well, can she cover the whole world with that?
I made this crazy theory that I don't
Jake,
think
they were talking about it right before you came on.
Wait, what's the theory?
Jake and Dior?
About what?
Go ahead. Tell them your theory, but they're going to agree with
the
you.
theory that I thought of, and you guys may have talked about this, but I wasn't here, is that she creates the X-Men.
Oh, well, Gio mentioned the X-Men.
Yes.
So I think that there's a possibility that the hex that we're going to see doesn't stop expanding, and it expands over a certain amount of states or maybe just one state or something. And she creates the X-Men, and Monica was actually the first ever X-Men. And she unlocks
over the world.
She unlocks the X gene. And this is how we get X-Men in the MCU. Is this is what happens? Like, let's get them ball moving.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
The field starts expanding to continue the story. Starts expanding, and I'm thinking, wait a minute. If Monica has powers, the people inside probably are going to have powers, and the people who just got into the hex, they're going to have powers.
Well, okay. So I don't know if the people inside the hex will have powers, because I think they were already in there, and then she created the hex. It's the people that cross through the hex is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So those people who are literally affected by it, or because Monica passed through twice, so she could have been heightened because she already hit through it twice. Certain people have a little bit of a different gene effect on certain things. It's only a select amount of people, a specific gene that is highlighted when the hex hits them. And it's not everybody, but it's a select number of people that now wake up with powers because of what happened.
Well, you guys know what this means, right? It means Darcy's going to be an X-Men.
So, well,
maybe.
It could all depend.
That's kind of messed up that she got.
I would love for everyone to get powers except for her, and her be like, "What the hell?" Like that character.
Well, it could be like what Jake's saying. Maybe the X gene exists, but it's never been unlocked, and only
that's a great call. It could be them instead of the X-Men.
That's not a bad call.
Or maybe some people only have the X gene, and it only unlocks it in those people.
And the hex, it hits one specific gene, and only like a 16th of the population has that gene or something.
And I mean, Westchester, New York, where the X Mansion is not that far from New Jersey.
I'm telling you guys, what if the Xavier School is actually a school for children, and she turns all of them in X-Men?
Dude, I never thought they would do that this early, but it's definitely a possibility, especially because she is a mutant in the comics. And it's like, it's not like they're having Captain Marvel create the X-Men. They're having an X-Men character create the X-Men if they did that.
Chuck, so, they're 100% bringing Inhumans back at some point.
And I don't know if you guys saw, but when the Falcon and the Winter Soldier trailer dropped on the Super Bowl, the Twitter account tweeted for the first time in 2.5 years.
What?
The Inhumans one?
The Inhumans TV show Twitter account, it tweeted the trailer, and it was the first tweet in over 2 years.
Wow. So I have a question. Where do you guys sit with the Evan Peters character at this moment? Like, what do you think after this?
I'm that emoji, right?
Yeah, I don't know either. See, but if he's aware of everything that's going on, and he's asking her, how'd you do it? He's not just another puppet in the town. I think we know that.
I don't think he's real.
Yeah, I'm with Brian. I don't think he exists.
I think whoever is Mephisto, whoever is manipulating this, created this character to try to get stuff out of her.
Yep.
Like, get on her good graces. Hey, look, it's your brother. Now tell me all your secrets. You can trust him.
Because if that's true, that means that the kids are also that too.
I see. Now that I disagree with you on.
But they were basically saying, like, talking about children, and all of a sudden she was pregnant. It's very similar to him showing up.
But she manifested the pregnancy.
Do we know that she did, though?
I mean, they said in one of the past episodes, anything that Wanda creates is real.
And she said everything in there is real.
And she said at one point, I didn't ring the doorbell.
Yeah, so it's possible that the Evan Peters guy is like another guy that lived in the town, or he's that short sword agent that went under the manhole, and then they repurposed him to be Pietro, and somebody like whoever, if it's Mephisto or whatever, is like channeling through him and talking to her because they're trying to get answers, I think, from her, obviously. And I think at the end of this episode, she decided that that's not her brother, I think. because why would she blast him away like that just because she's mad?
Because he said some stupid shit.
Yeah,
I think at this point she'll blast away anybody for Vision. She will. She had told Pietro, I felt an ever-ending nothingness or something like that.
Yeah.
And she never-ending nothingness.
Yeah, thank you. I said it backwards. She feels lonely, she feels empty without Vision there. She will do.
Well, that's what all the townspeople keep saying.
She will do anything for him.
Lonely.
Yeah,
including cover the whole world in the hex.
And also remember, she has been hinting at the fact that, like, she even said, "Why do you look so different?" Like, she doesn't believe. Like, there's a part of her that still doesn't believe that.
Well, she's trying to figure out. She says, "You remember that one time?" And then she's like, "Where's your accent?"
Exactly. Well, yeah.
And then he goes, "Where's yours?"
Oh, somebody mentioned it in the chat, but was that Kick-Ass reference like that was a
100%.
Kick-Ass reference, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, where both of them are in. Maybe she's like, wait a minute, Kick-Ass.
I need to watch that movie.
Yes, you do.
I've never seen it.
So did you guys notice last episode when they first show Evan Peters, the alarm's going off in the background? Why do you think the alarm was going off?
I don't even know what part you're talking about.
So when they first show Evan Peters and she's like, Pietro, when he first shows up and they make the reveal at the very end of last episode.
And then it cuts back to the outside. And
Darcy's like, she recast Pietro during that scene. The alarm's going off in the background.
The alarm was going off because Wanda had just gone out to them.
Yeah.
And it was still going. She had just gone back in the hex and Pietro had just shown up. So they were dealing with because at the beginning of this episode, they had just walked
But she goes back in and has that whole conversation with Vision.
Yeah, but we don't know how time works in the hex. And remember at the beginning of this episode, they had just brought the drone inside the tent.
Yeah. Maybe it was just left on, the alarm was on the whole time.
It was fully on because she came out of
Possibly. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, any more final thoughts on the episode? Predictions about next episode? I think we finally meet the stranger that Monica's been talking about. Finally,
that's going to be big. If they don't show up next episode,
well, I said I think whoever it is for the aerospace engineer will be in the next episode, and then the final 2 episodes will be whoever the big overarching bad guy is going to start making his presence known.
Yeah, I think that next episode we break the whole sitcom thing. That it kind of ends with whatever it's Modern Family or whatever. We and the story goes forward as finishing and wrapping up because this show's not getting a second season. The second season is called Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and so they have to wrap up this story in the 2 episodes that follow next week. And lead into a movie. And so they can't keep up the sitcom thing forever. They're going to have to move the story forward. People are going to have to come out of the spell, the trances, and things are going to have to get going. And I don't want them to do that in just 1 episode. I want 2 episodes.
Yeah, and I'm guessing the last 2 episodes are going to be like 45 minutes long.
Crossing our fingers.
Hey,
yeah, that would make sense.
Be 45 minutes, and then they can have their 10 minutes of stuff after.
Because
the episode needs to say 59 minutes, which means 8 minutes of credits and 50 minutes of footage.
And there's no real sitcom era past the Office type thing, like past Office, Modern Family.
But I feel like you can end it after the 2010s because then Wanda is caught up to when she joined the Avengers.
Yeah, exactly.
2016, right? Like that's when everything. 2014 is when Age of Ultron happened, or 2015 is when Age of Ultron happened. Then Civil War happened in 16, and then Infinity War in 18. And so
that makes sense.
By that time, you're caught up to the timeline that had happened. And so next week should be the end of the sitcom story, and then we're back into the nitty gritty craziness that's about to go down.
Oh, real quick, the commercial.
I was literally.
What did you guys think of that? I still have no idea what it means.
So it was that was a very dark commercial, and like I said earlier with Jake, this episode. Oh, okay. Well, you and I both agree on the fact that this is kind of Disney putting their toe in, like, we can do scary, like, and we can do dark, because they showed a little kid decomposing into a skeleton. Like, that's not Disney that you know.
Yeah.
And who is directing Multiverse of Madness?
Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
One of the great scary
He directed the original Evil Dead, guys.
Yeah. Anyways, with the commercial, there's a line that the shark says that he says, snacking on yo magic, a snack for survivors. Snacking on yo magic. And in the theme song, it kind of alludes that, so taking someone's ability, someone's power. So I think that that's kind of what was hinted at in this one. And if you, I know we kind of went all like, oh my God, each commercial is Infinity Stone. Like, if we had still, this one was kind of like the more of a stretch, but to me, it's like
There's only two left.
Yeah.
So
Snacking on yo magic, snacking on your power stone. If we're comparing,
it could be they're using her magic to accomplish a goal, and I still think it's about the children, the twins.
See,
I
now
still
I
think
I
think somebody wants the kids, and they're trying to develop them into their powerful selves and take them.
I don't think they're texting kids.
I think that I slightly agree with what Brian said, but I do think that there's a meaning behind it of whether it's Mephisto or Nightmare or someone else is the shark, and whether the kid is Wanda or a representation of the people inside the hex. Over time, they're losing their ability, they're losing their consciousness, they're losing their power, and they're so close to having what they want, right? They're breaking free of the trance or whatever they're in, but they don't have the ability to do so. A perfect example is that poor lady who is literally doing the laundry stuff.
Yeah,
right?
that was terrible.
She's conscious. She can feel everything, but she can't do anything about it, right? And that felt very similar to what was happening in the commercial. But again, we've talked about this, but these could literally mean nothing at the end. And they could just be like a nice little reference to whatever's happening or something. But I do hope that means something. It'd be very cool. It's a cool add to a show or to something that we'll never see something like this in any other show. This is the only time the MCU will ever do these little ads. And I do hope they mean something.
Agreed.
Yeah. With you guys there. Will you guys in the comments and the chats let us know?
Really quick, I want to address Stacy's before we go. Sure. Stacy, I think that the children, anyone in that town is a prop, and they are just being used whenever she has the use for them. And she needed the kids, brought all the kids out. That's what
I have no idea. I mean, my only thing I can think of is what Quicksilver said, possibly.
Yeah.
Calling her out, man.
Who knows? 6 episodes in, we still have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's so much fun.
I can't wait to see what Darcy looks like in the Hex.
Next week's about to be crazy.
You want to know what I think she's going to be? They showed a diner. I think she's going to be a waitress like she is in that Two Broke Girls TV show.
I could see that.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Woo!
Anything else?
Nah, I'm good, man. We talked about it all.
Gio, you take us out.
What?
I said, Gio, take us out.
Who did the intro? When I did the private chat, I was talking about the video, not the actual outro.
Oh, wait, what?
Oh my God.
Go ahead, Gio.
Okay, guys. Well, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for putting up with me as the host. Let us know your thoughts on WandaVision. Make sure to join us here this time next week for episode 7. You can check us out on our Tuesday show for Apocaflix Now, movie hangout show, all 5 of us. Well,
go watch last week's trivia battle.
Yeah. Trivia.
Yeah, that was fun.
It came down to the wire, but it was no surprise who won.
Oh goodness. Oh my God.
Yeah, you know what? I was rewatching that, and can I quickly say, every time like you came to me, it was either you were squinting your eyes or you just were like, "What?" You know, it was just I'm sorry. I want to apologize for giving you such a hard time. Okay, but it's all fun. But anyways, that's gonna do it, guys, for this episode of WandaVision. Thank you, Jacob, Brian, Jake, myself, Gio. See you guys next time.